You're listening to Masters Decoded podcast series. I'm your host and the chief decoder, Anis Merchant. Through this podcast, I bring in guests who are successful in a different walk of life to decode and map out their careers and journeys with the hope that we gain all our learnings. The world around us is changing exponentially, and how the impact of artificial intelligence, technology, and other socioeconomic factors have either influenced or enhanced my guests' careers. My next guest on today's episode is Amit Singh. Amit, as he declares himself as an entrepreneur by choice, MBA by design, and an engineer by default. Listen to the podcast on why the three dimensions of his profile. I call Amit a person with strong will and someone who can easily get bored with things quickly. Amit went on to do an MBA after having more than 9 years of work experience, and that too with a wife and a 3-year-old kid on the campus. Based on his unique insights, he authored a book called The Black Book, The Untold Story of IIMs That Nobody Has Ever Told You, a book that helps MBA aspirants to make informed life and career decisions. He's also a TEDx speaker and spoken on depression and insider's perspective. Currently a CEO of two companies, Mage Monkeys and Bright Fox Learning Solutions LLP. Amit has some very interesting stories to recite based on his work experience. So listen in. Hi Amit, welcome to Masters Decoded podcast series. Thanks for taking time out.
Thank you so much, Anish, and I'm very happy to be here. Excited to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Sure. And your profile is very interesting. And when I looked up, I was pretty excited actually to get you as a guest because the variety of experience you have is pretty compelling. And we'll decode each part of it as we go through this conversation. But something which really intrigued me, from a software engineer to a CEO. How would you kind of put together that entire journey in like small sentence if you have to sum it up?
Great. So you want my biography in two sentences?
Yes.
So is it difficult? Like I started any other software engineer or a young graduate from IIT start their journey from an IT engineer or um, some maybe based out of some other firms, technical firms. So started with a very similar starting, and I was not aware of the software industry when I got into it. Okay, it was way back in 2003 and 4, and I was very novice there. I was not sure what to expect and how to perform. What I knew was about the coding, so I did coding. I got through the same, and I was very excited to get the campus placement in Sapient, and it was for like highest paid company. It was a dream company for everybody, and I was not nowhere in the competition or race because I was not from a computer science background. I was an electronics and communication graduate, though I have interest in coding, and I was doing it to get job. So in
Okay.
everywhere in like colleges, it is like if you want to have a guarantee of a job, you should know a little bit of coding, so that if your core departmental firm don't take you, you have some fallback option. So for that, I learned coding and all this thing, and somehow I got into like there's a three rounds of interview for Sapient. I got into testing round, HR round. They liked me as a person. They were very focused on HR aspect, cultural aspect of it, and they found me suitable. So like I was one of the 8 people they took from the campus, and it was like dream come true. I was very happy in that I started with a MNC, which is like that time it was like a $1 billion company, market capitalization, and it was dream company from any sense. Like it was highest paid, and after that, what happened? Like I will tell you one incident. When Sapient comes and they offer, when you go to the class next day, each professor will ask you who among you has got into Sapient. That was the kind
Okay.
of, yeah, that was the kind of like that company has that kind of
Aura.
all in the company, aura in the, because that the pay package was bigger than the professors. So professors
Oh
were
wow.
like so professors were like like this guy was just came and they are earning more than us. So that was it. So I was very reluctantly, I in every class I just put my hands up. Okay, sir. I was like, please don't ask me how I got into it. So just I was very embarrassed by that question. So, but somehow I started with the Sapient, and it was nice to get into a company, and but somehow there was a slowdown in US economy at that moment of
Mm-hmm.
time, 2002, 2003, right? And all the companies has deferred their placements, and
Mm-hmm.
then when they gave back the joining, it was a revised condition with revised package and all these things, which actually upsetted me and my family. And my whole family is into government jobs. Okay, it's typical North Indian middle class family where everyone is into government job, and the highest acclaim one can have is into civil services, become a DM. So that kind of environment. Every other guy in my family is engineer or IS. That's the two professions we
Okay.
have. And I get into the private firm. It was the first in the family, and I actually fought to get into a private firm. And
Oh wow.
when I fought and this happened, and this is the truth which they were telling me, because they were telling a private company don't have security, they don't follow rules, they can fire you anytime. And I fought it. I told them that no, this is not the true. You are not aware of, they have certain positives also and all. And I got till that time it is good, but suddenly when this happened, uh, their stand was vindicated, and I was like, oh my god, now what to tell parents. So luckily at that moment of time, I joined Sapient with the revised condition, but I was not very happy at that moment of time, and I got an offer from DRDO, which is a Defense Research
Mm-hmm.
and Development Organization, and it was
That's something
typical.
which I would love to double click.
Yeah, so it was because it was that slow down period, and they didn't give me the joining. I gave a test for DRDO, all India test. Otherwise it wouldn't have happened. I would have gone directly to the company. I would have started working, and if the real package, the actual package was there, I wouldn't have left Sapient also. That's a fact. And since the package at that moment of time, DRDO and Sapient was similar, and it was government, and President of India actually gave directly letter to my parent. That letter came from President of India. My father
Oh
was like,
wow.
my father was like 56-inch. Okay,
His chest was like
just
glowing up with
just
pride.
was like, okay, you yeah, that the class one officer with grade one pay, and you become scientist, that kind of. So my father was, you have to get into this. I don't like your private firm and all this thing. Now you know what has happened. It can happen anytime. You get out of this. So I left, since I was a little child, how much I can protest. And so I got into DRDO at that moment of time. And then certain things happen, and I uh, with some experiences which very hard, very bitter experiences of life, I switched to some other firm, then to some, finally landed into IMA after like 10 years of 9 years of gap between from my graduation and IIM Ahmedabad. And then as if you go into IMA, the mindset become different. You start looking things in a different form. um, like more than 50%, it's a stat, like more than 50% of Indian company, if you see the top tier CEOs and all these, they are from IIM Ahmedabad. So you start seeing in this perspective that you can also do, and there is a good culture of a startup. So that startup bug or doing you of yourself bug has actually bitten me inside the campus, and I started exploring. Suddenly I got a good offer from Yes Bank, which actually gave me unrelevant experience. They took my unrelevant experience of 8 9 years to be a relevant experience in banking, and they gave me a profile which is equivalent to like that kind of experience. So they gave me a profile of AVP. So I thought they have respected me, I should also respect them. So I went there and joined. But like I said that in campus I was bitten with this startup thing. So it was always going in round my mind. So after a year I thought, let me go back and do something. So then I came back, become a co-founder, and become a started my firm. Saying it like CEO, it's like more of a nomenclature. Otherwise you have to do every kind of work from CEO to your receptionist. I have been like customer service caller, or that caller of my company. I have done every kind of thing in my whatever you can call it CEO, but I think it is more than that.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah, so that has been a journey till now. From so like last 15 years there are many ups and downs, and I've learned from experiences. um, so I think experiences makes life, otherwise it would be a very monotonous life, and it was not such a fun. But yes, I feel the hard part teaches you a lot, but you have to be very like you have some mentor or some kind of guiding force, then it will
Sure.
easy. Otherwise it become very difficult. And I got like my part is got very difficult to get over the difficult part of it, because I didn't have a kind of mentor which I wanted. So yeah, so that
Okay.
is,
So let's talk a little bit about DRDO. I think you were programming for Sukhoi 30. Like,
yes,
that's an
yes.
amazing experience.
Oh my god, I had DRDO
I
as a
don't know
kid.
if you I don't know if you're still under an NDA. You can share details. I know it's government, and then you also work with Power Grid
Yes,
Corporation of India,
yes,
right?
yes,
And these
yes,
are like top notch
yes,
setups for any country,
correct.
and especially in India. And if
Yes,
you're a part of DRDO, you are doing something
yeah,
very confidential. But
yes,
if you can share whatever you can share in your right, I would be love to hear that.
yes, yes. There are few things which I can't share, but most of the things I can share. And DRDO gave me uh, awesomest experience you can have actually. If they are not a very good paymaster that at that moment of time, there was no pay commission and all these things, so there was no paymaster, but the kind of experience was mind blowing. Can you believe that a normal guy can see submarine from inside? I saw submarine from inside. I went into Prithvi missile. Can you understand? I went into the Prithvi missile. I get inside the Prithvi missile, and I went to a place which is called Wheeler Island, which is off
Hmm.
coast to your Balasore. Balasore is a launching site for this missiles and all this thing. This is off coast from the Odisha. So I went to that station. I went inside Prithvi missile and how the testing happened and what. So that kind of experience, I have a goosebumps right now. If I'm talking to you, that kind of experience I have in DRDO. I saw Sukhoi 30.
So
I
why
saw.
did you have to go? Why did you have to go into the Prithvi missile? Because you all were programming
So
for it,
yes,
and then you had to understand.
no. So what happened? Like DRDO has a 6 months induction program. Okay,
Hmm.
so they take scientists or young scientists and have them like a Bharat Darshan of their labs. So the DRDO has around 52 or 54 labs around the
Wow.
all over India. So yeah, sorry. So they have different like some labs are for avionics, some lab for missiles, some for armaments, some for some devices. So different places. So we were like my division was on avionics and this development. So I went into that space. So e- every lab which is was dealing with this kind of technology, we were invited. So we
Wow.
went to all those places. We went to Hyderabad. Hyderabad is a place where missiles are built actually. So your Prithvi missile, Agni missile, and all these things. So I went there.
Apart from biryani, apart from a great biryani,
Yes, yes,
missiles are built.
yeah, yeah, and Golconda Fort. So yeah, so because of DRDO, actually, I went into a Bharat Darshan. I saw multiple places. I was in Pune, Hyderabad, Balasur, Kolkata. Bangalore, of course, Bangalore was there. Then the Agra, all places where they have their labs. So we went there, and
And the common people don't even know that these labs exist.
no,
They
no,
will be passing through those labs and saying,
y-
"What is a
something is
stupid
there. Yeah,
building?"
government division is there, but nobody will know how is things. So I have seen like how these guys are testing Prithvi and Agni. Even I saw the Arjun tank. I have photos with everything, and they were testing Arjun tank and Tejas. So we can sit outside and blame our scientists or the forces why these guys are not able to build Tejas for last 50 years. What are these guys are doing? And from inside I can understand what was like how these guys are doing. So we had after Pokhran nuclear test, we have so many sanctions around the world. It delayed our whatever we were doing in terms of defense and the nuclear. It deferred 20 years our whole program. So we were not getting their forces as not getting the equipment from outside. They don't have the technology tie-ups that time. Everything was in like in-house engineers. They are developing everything. So it is difficult to do something from zero. If you can borrow something and you start like what most of the country like China and do, they borrow technology and they start building over and above that, then it become easier. But here it was like everything has to be developed from scratch. So it takes time, because history tells us, like, we were not active participant from World War One and World War Two. Any country which was active participation with in the World War One and World War Two has manufacturing capability developed.
Right.
Otherwise, those countries which were not actively involved, those countries don't have that kind of capabilities. So if you see Germany, if you see US, Japan, the France, they were the countries who were fought, and because of that war machine, they become the manufacturing hub and the defense capabilities. So we were not there at any moment of time. So
Wow.
that was the reason, and like I can go on and on. There was like huge.
No, even we can go on. We can have a separate conversation about DRDO and power grid today. I think I'm so inquisitive, and I'm like a child who's talking to you today, which I would want to know more about it. But let's talk about your CEO role. But
Hmm.
before we go ahead and talk to you about the CEO role, I think one thing which you interestingly did, which is very unique, and there are people now doing that, but often you would see engineers doing MBA
Hmm.
pretty quickly after their
Hmm.
engineering,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct. Correct.
But you actually spent 9 years
Yeah.
being a true engineer
Yeah.
by being a software
Yeah.
programmer and dirtying your hands and coding and all of
Yes.
that. What what made you do MBA? Like, what was the idea behind doing an MBA?
Correct. So it has its own story. It was not by choice. It becomes like it was because of the compulsion of the life, whatever turns and twist and turn it happened. So MBA was never in my scheme of things. Okay. My parents wanted me to do civil services. As you understand, my family has engineer and civil services. So once I'm done with this engineering, the next stop was the civil services. But somehow I was not very inclined to do right after my BTech. I want to take a break. I wanted to just have a breath in before I can go into civil services. So I joined a job for like SAPN and DRDO. And when my at that moment of time, Bangalore, I was in Bangalore in DRDO. Okay, and there was a
Mhm.
avionics lab, and I was in Bangalore. And for my once my mother actually came from Lucknow to Bangalore, and that
Bangalore.
time flight was like very rare, and it was very expensive out of our budget. So she came through a train, and it took from Lucknow to Bangalore. It took 48 hours.
Wow.
Okay, and for her, it was like the most the most
Must be excruciating, right? It
exclusive
was.
journey for her. And she thought that, oh my god, where is my son? She is he is so far away from here, and something is wrong. This place is not where we wanted. And she took a like that moment as a moment you should take a decision to come back to the home place and start preparing for civil services. So that from there it was like I somehow extended for 6 months, but they thought that I should come back and start preparation. So after 1.5 years in DRDO, I have to leave the firm, and I came back in Delhi and I started preparation for civil services. So that was a time where I left job. I started preparing. I was 1 year into coaching. Civil services, like it's a 5 year plan. You will not go for just, you will go and I don't know whether you know whole ecosystem of civil services.
No,
So
I don't know.
yeah, Mumbaikars don't know. I understand. Mumbai
Definitely, we don't.
Mumbai
We only
don't.
understand stock market. We only
Yes,
understand stock
yes, yes,
market, the
yes.
ecosystem of stock market.
Correct, correct, correct. And
Yes.
I actually Mumbaikars don't give a damn about civil services and IAS and all this thing. I know that. Yes, and but in North India it's a big thing, and now even in the South India is picking up, and people are coming from South India, huge number in the civil services. So it was like what happened, like you have to take 1.5 years of just coaching for civil services just to get started, okay, just to understand it, because the syllabus and the competition is so fierce and syllabus is so vast. Anything under the sky they can ask, okay. So it has to be like very wide, and it has to be very competitive, because people are giving their day and night, and repeatedly for years and after years. So I prepare for 1.5 years. I gave one attempt. So you can have 4 attempts. 4 years you can uh, get into the competition. So people like have given 3 attempts, and they are also competing with the new guy. And so new guy has no chance to get into. It is very rare that a new person can actually get into a civil service in first or second. So I was mentally prepared for having a 3 or 4 years of that period. But as you said, destiny has its own way. My mother got into a freak accident inside my house. It is not outside, it's just a kitchen accident. And she
Okay.
she was in hospital for 15 years in ICU. She recovered a bit, and then after
Wow.
15 days, after 15 days, she got a stroke, and she passed away. And
Sorry to hear that.
then suddenly that 15 days actually changed my life. And one person I'm very close, I was very close, was my mother. uh, Father, it is like North Indian father, you understand, right? It's a it's just take and give kind of, it's a finance support and nothing else. So but mother, I was emotionally attached and very very near to mother. And then when it happened, and it took me like it was a big shock. And um, I have never seen such kind of thing. So
Hmm.
that is still like I have never seen death as such. Whatever like happens to my grandfather, my mother actually protected us too much. So I've never gone to their death ceremony, because they were old. They have uh, their life is already done. So they were very. So we in North India, if a old man dies, there is no rona dona. It's more of celebration. So if you have 84 80, like 80 84, and you died and you have settled your old responsibility, we actually have a good celebration. So I have seen celebration by very small of my great father, grandfather. So but after that, I have never seen the actual shock of that. It is just I was protected, and
Hmm.
whenever it happens, my mother was like, you have to stay in home, I will go. And so I was not. And when it happened with me, with especially my mother, it was I was taken aback. And that moment of time, I was not in the mood of preparation. I don't want to study. I don't had a job also, so I can't change the environment also. And we are very small family. My brother and my father was left, so we three male in the home, sitting and looking each other face. That is a kind of environment. And there was no
Okay.
support kind of thing like family. So relatives can come for some days, but for a
Yeah.
long time, you have to face the reality. And I was a little kid kind of thing, so I was not able to cope up with the loss. And slowly, and I drifted into a kind of depression.
Okay.
And I was it took around for me it took around 1.5 years to understand that I am actually getting into depression, because at
Oh
moment of
wow.
time depression topic was not discussed in the society. Nobody knows this depression thing. Now you can
Now also.
yeah, now you can actually understand. You can listen your Bollywood celebrities talking about depression, but that moment of like 2007 8, no, nobody was talking. I was not aware. And even my father and one relatives, they thought that I am thinking too much. That's a one thing which everybody think you're thinking too much, or you the guy is emotionally weak. That's the how people in the society looks for that kind of, if you are into kind depression. So it took around me 1.5 year to understand that this is depression. I wanted to get out of it, and I left my study. I don't wanted to go in civil services, because civil services was my mother's dream, and mother was not there, so I was not uh, hard, like I was not strong enough to go back to studies and start preparing. And civil services, it has own toll. You can't like have a emotionally weak and you can prepare. So I was very vulnerable that moment of time. So that moment I gave actually examination of power grid, and I got into power grid. And that little bit changed my environment, because I got a posting in Kolkata, so I went to Kolkata there, still in the depression mode, still in that mode. But I was working.
Wow.
I know that something is wrong. I knew that something is wrong, but I have to go on. So I was doing some all the stuff, but still I know that it is a depression. So I went into a lot of doctors, talk about this thing, and nothing was like I was not getting a solution. Then after a period I got married also. And like a married does make a difference. I had a different environment, change of environment, but because of the prolonged depression for 3 years, my body has developed some kind of metabolism changes,
Mhm.
which was not medically proved. So I have developed few kind of aches and pains all over my body, but there
Mhm.
was no underlying cause. Okay.
Wow.
I have gone to all India, whatever best medical colleges and the hospitals have. And I have gone through every kind of test. What if you have body aches and pains and joint pains? So whatever test
Mm.
is there, genetic test I have done,
Wow.
and and there was no underlying cause. There was no
Mm.
nothing. It is mostly mentally driven thing, which was manifesting in physical thing. Okay.
Mm.
So I was not getting the relief. And after
Right.
like 4 5 years I have to struggle with this. I went into alternative medicine, I did yoga and all this thing. I got some relief, but not totally. Then I found a very old doctor in Kolkata. Somebody told me, and I went, and he understood the problem, and with a very small medicine he actually cured me.
Wow.
And within 3 months of taking his medicine I was 50 60% improved. My pain was subside. uh, if you like, I have a pictures, when if you that moment of time I have collarbone here. I used to have a collarbone for neck. I have a back belt for my lower back, because I had so much of pain. So and after getting that medicine I was recover a bit, and when I got into my senses and my physical body was able to think, like I was my mind was okay, but my mental body was not supporting. If I wanted to do something, it was not supporting. But after taking medicine I was a little bit more confident of taking chances. And then I thought, it is enough, let's do something else. And so in
Okay.
2012 I started preparing for MBA.
Wow. And there's one interesting thing. What I'm seeing with you, specifically, if you put your mind behind certain thing, especially you can crack these exams pretty easily.
Yeah,
Meaning, if you were able to crack DRDO, you were able to crack Power Grid, you were able
yeah,
to crack IIM A, right?
yeah.
So, which is impressive. So, I think keep at it. You wrote a book on your
Yes,
entire experience on
yes,
IIMA. What
yes.
was the book all about? It's the memoir of your experience in IIM Ahmedabad. It's called the Black Book,
Yes, it is
right?
called Black Book. And so it is, since I have a very different experience of IMA than the normal average students have, I thought,
What
let
was
me,
the difference?
difference was a number of years of experience when you go into a IMA. So what happened, like average, if you see in every B school in India, the average like 50% of the batch will be a freshers. Freshers means like you started
Hmm?
from right from after college, you went into an MBA. Normally MBA is meant for experienced guy who have 3 4 5 years experience, which is like in US and UK, that is a mandatory. But in India, because of the environment, because of the company needs, there is no minimum requirement for getting to MBA. So most of the
Yeah,
people think that let me finish the education first and get into a job. So and the parents
yeah,
also think things like that, and so most of the people, like 50% of the batch is always like fresher. Then some people were having 1 year experience, 2 years experience, 3 max 4 years, max 4 years.
yeah.
So but I had a 8 or 9 years experience, and I was doing a 2 year MBA program. It's not a 1 year MBA PGPX program. So 2 year normal MBA program, it is very rarely some candidate had that kind of experience and come into that class. So you can understand, like when I was in sitting in my class, the bandwidth of the class was like, at one end there was a 19-year-old girl, right? A superstar from Sri Ram College, okay, the topper from Sri Ram College, and directly came into IMA, and she was like 19, 20 years. And at the other spectrum, I was there, okay, 28, 29 years old guy who was a 9 years of experience. So that was the bandwidth of the class. So my since I have been into jobs, and my perspective of answering question, I can understand how idealistic people were there, because they have not gone into job and experience. So their answers were more of idealistic. This should happen, that should happen, whatever they have can experience and understand. But once you are into a job, you have a different kind of, you understand how vendor works, or how market works, or how your boss will react. So my answers and my uh, looking into the whole issue was very little different. And I was not very pro job. I don't wanted to get into, like, just wanted to get there for a job. Most of the guys are actually preparing for jobs, so they start doing from the very first day, they start preparing for job, and they wanted to get a best of the job. So I was not in that kind of race. So I saw the things which was happening inside a B school in a very different perspective. And I thought, let me share all those perspective in a book form, so that the incoming people, or incoming the MBA aspirants, can actually see what happens inside um, MBA life, and then they can take a informed career decisions, whether it is
Hmm.
getting to MBA, and if you get into MBA, what kind of stream and what kind of things you should do to get best out of your MBA degree.
Very
So
interesting.
that was
And it's been selling well. How's the response been on the book? It's been one of the
yes.
best sellers,
And
right?
yes, yeah, it is selling well. Actually, I got I quarterly I get royalty also. I've never thought I
Wow.
can get something out of it, but it is word of mouth. I've never done a marketing, fully marketing on this word of mouth. I have so many mails, and actually, see, this book I wrote keeping in mind people from tier 2, tier 3 cities, students,
Mhm.
not from elite institutions. Elite institution student already knew about all those things, so it is
Yeah.
not meant for a like very from IMA guy, or for some other elite MBA colleges. They might like it, or they may know everything about it. But for me, it is like less privileged people, or from a tier to tier, which has a information gap. So I tell, in your stock market you will understand, I call it is as an information arbitrage. Okay.
Hmm.
So that thing is information arbitrage, which actually some people use for their advantage. Okay,
Mhm.
for some, like somebody who's coming from maybe IIT Mumbai, they will know exactly what happens in IIM Bangalore or IIM Ahmedabad, and they will understand each and every course. They will know how company induct or recruitment happens. Everything they know before coming into IMA, and then they can manipulate the whole system, and they can get best out of best jobs. But 80% of people who are coming into it, they don't know how things are happening. And once you are a college like IIM Ahmedabad, which is very rigorous, like it you are, we say in first year is a survival mode. When first year gets over, we have a T-shirt which says that PGV survivor, first year survivor. It is never about topping the college or getting your top. It's just to survive your first year. So you have that kind of so when you get into that mode, you don't have time to think. It's just a flow, and you have to go to with that flow only. And most of the guys do mistake in that flow. Because if people, for example, if the trend is or getting into consulting firm, whether your nature or your body or your mindset is of consulting, you will start doing consulting preparation and get into job. I wanted this kind of job, and you start doing, and you will get into, because you have a certain kind of minimum mind and intelligence, and with the guidance, with the institution reputation, you might get into consulting. But after 3 months, you will realize that this is a hell. I got into it, and within 3 months you will shift to other something else. And most of the guys, industry stats tell us that 60% of this recruitment, 60% of people change job within 3 months or 6 months. And
Mm.
this happens because of that flow inside the B school, which you can't actually manipulate or you can understand. So 80% of people will be in that direction. I wrote this book for those 80% people, so that they can
Very
take a
interesting.
informed career decision.
So let's switch gears a little bit. And you've had two careers as CEOs. One was Dubzo, which was you were a co-founder.
Hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
now you currently also are a CEO of an education startup,
Right.
which is very different than Dubzo.
Hmm.
And you're part of Bright Fox Learning.
Hmm.
Now, but before we talk about Bright Fox, uh, you also have it's a non-profit or a news app which you had, which was
Hmm.
called I Stand With.
I stand with. Yes. Yes.
Also,
Yes.
yes. So it's almost like you had three careers of CEOs, and this is the third one. So
Yes.
what happened with the first two, and then this third one? And
So
let's talk about Bright Fox more.
yeah, so it is normal. So normal entrepreneur journey will happen like this only. It is very rare you will strike gold in your first attempt. Okay,
Hmm.
in your first startup, if you find any, like if you check any good entrepreneur success story in India, they have their own story, because they must have done something which has failed, and then they came about some idea, and then they become success. A similar thing happened with me also. We started with this digital gift card startup, and it was ahead of time at that moment in time. So it was about the digital gift card, like you have Amazon card. So
Hmm.
we wanted to become a like a integrator of all kind of digital gift card in one platform. Okay, and
Okay.
it is very successful in US market and Western market, but India has to was not there and that moment of time. So after doing year work, we thought that it is not for Indian market, and there was a with the co-founder, you have a different point of like perspective is different, so we left that thing there. Then I had a different partner in Ahmedabad, and now I got a partner who is a local Gujarati person. So he's not an IIM graduate or something. I actually I gel with him very much, and we have a similar age group, and he has been a good successful entrepreneur himself in IT domain. So we became a partner, and we started this Bright Fox Learning Solutions. And
Okay.
Bright
What is
Fox
Bright Fox all about?
Bright Fox is about understanding that each kid is unique. Okay. And we say that each kid is made uniquely different. Okay.
Okay.
So for them the learning, as well as the merchandise, as well the gifts or games, should be like personalized to them. It should
Okay.
not be a mass produced product, even if it is online or a physical product. So we started with a edutainment space where we develop books, games, some merchandise, which are personalized to the kids. And
Okay.
they have edutainment, like education as well as entertainment with them. So it has certain
Sure.
value for the parent when they buy it. It's just not a game
Mhm.
or just not a book, just another book. It has some value. So for example, our first and most successful book is we call as Journey of Super Kid. Okay. And it is a customized book for each kid. For example, if Anish is a kid, and for if we have to make a book of Anish, what we will say that you have a superpowers within yourself, but you don't
Okay.
know. You don't know. So let's go a journey, and with that journey you will unravel those superpowers. And once you understand the superpowers, you become a super kid. Okay. And what are those powers? So what we do is like, with every alphabet, every letter of your name, we will attach a positive quality with that. So for example, Anis A of Anis, it becomes achiever. N maybe
Okay.
neat. Okay. Or noble. Okay.
Okay.
E for energetic, E for enthusiastic, and then S for selfless. Okay. And
Okay.
we we weave a story around all those positive qualities, and each story will give one alphabet, and at the end the kid will know that these are my superpowers. I am my name is not just another name, it has a superpowers, and now I become a super kid. So this become a whole personalized story where kid himself or herself is a hero, superhero, rather than
Okay.
Superman or super Spider-Man or some other character.
Wow.
So this is the concept of the first product which we did, and it has like it went viral. We have already sold around 25,000 books, and it was
Wow.
very like by the parents, because it gives us new perspective to the kid. It brings kid back to the storybooks. And this is like, as a parent, I am also very concerned, because my daughter don't read so much book that I like, because I like so many books. I'm a voracious reader, but my because of this digital mobile and tablet, it is very difficult for parents to bring kids back to these storybooks. So this
Hmm.
storybooks helps them to start, at least start, and then you can go ahead. Similarly, we have other books for different age groups. We have games which are personalized. So our motto is to make more of innovative, personalized books
But
and
how do you scale? But how do you scale such a solution, right? Because
yes,
one of the thing being an entrepreneur is also scale. So how do
yes.
you bring in scale?
See, with the help of technology, especially AI, ML, you can do that. If you go to my website and you put your name or your kid's name, you will actually see exactly how the book will be printed. With you can flip pages also,
Wow.
and you can see exactly how book will be printed. Okay. So with technology we can scale. Yes, some hurdles is always there because of the scale thing. um, but people, because of that thing, our products is also price premium, right?
Hmm.
Just like you have uh, Apple phone and Samsung phone, so it will because you have some value attached to it, more quality, more uh, customized thing, so it will have a little higher price than the normal book. Okay. So
Wow.
that is how we balance both of those things. And we want to be in that kind of customized and personalized domain where we can deliver more value, rather than just like you can now with PM Modi call for toys for India and all this thing, which is actually I'm very excited about that thing. we can in India we can build certain kind of toy which is not available in outside India. So we are working on this domain. Let's see if
Wow.
scale can
And
happen.
best of luck with that. Best of
Thank you
luck
so
with
much.
that vision. So, Amit, uh, being an entrepreneur, you also do a lot of mistakes and
Yes,
decisions,
yes.
which would, in the hindsight, may not be the right ones. Can you talk about one of them and just briefly share what that was, if you're okay with that?
Yes, so I as a personal entrepreneur, I did many mistakes. My life is actually full of mistakes, even my professional career also. And experience. See,
And I'm very happy that you're laughing about it, right? Which is which is your
yeah.
show. It shows humility in you, which is
So
interesting.
I am. It's okay with me. See, if I didn't made mistake, I wouldn't have gone to DRDO. I didn't have that kind of experience. I didn't like I power grid wouldn't have happened. So I think life is about living. You life is about living. It's not about getting money in your bank account or having so like if you plan for your retirement, what will happen after retirement, man? You are already dead, half dead. How will you enjoy your life? Life is right now.
Yes.
Everything else we do is to make this life more richer, right? And
Right.
experiences make those things richer. So if I have roof on my head and my family's head, and I have food on my table, that is like I am happy with that. Over and above, I always wanted more money, but if that minimum is taken care, and I make mistakes, that's okay, fine, it's fine with me. And
Mhm.
for me, experiences counts. So I have made so many mistakes. For example, if I had some kind of mentorship or some kind of guidance, I wouldn't left Sapient, even though Sapient has changed the terms and condition. In hindsight, I feel I would have done that, and I would be in IT firm and all this thing. But then my life will be a monotonous IT engineer life. You understand? You will not be
Yep.
talking to me right now because it will be more very well settled, full of money, kind of already settled life. Nothing would have happened. I would have done, yes, I would have more money than I have now, but you wouldn't have been talking to me. So it will be a more very
Right.
very pale kind of. And what I am kind of person, I get bored very easily. Even my environment,
Mhm.
I keep changing my environment once in a while after 1 month, because I don't like same kind of stuff going. This is my personality disorder. I don't know whether it's good and right, but I don't like similar things for after a while. So I keep changing.
Mhm.
So I did lot of mistakes from my career as well my entrepreneur also. So with the starting,
Okay.
first well, like getting into a domain which I didn't know. So you should not get into a domain which you are not very aware, or you have not done enough research behind
Research.
it. So first startup was in digital gift card, which I didn't know anything about. It's just an influence of a person which I met, and I thought this is a good product and let's do it. But it turned out to be not that great. Okay. This is the first mistake which I think people should not go into that domain which they don't realize, or they don't have an experience. Your first startup should be in that domain where you already have experience, or you have spent time into it, whether it is deliberate or by choice, or you have that was by compulsion. For example, you are in some industry by compulsion, you know about each and everything about the industry, right? And
Hmm.
or for example, or other, if you take in the Oyo founder Ritesh. Now he was not in the hotel industry, but he was like in 1.5 years spent in different hotels and all over India, wandering here and there. So he got that inside knowledge. Otherwise,
Yes.
no product can be built. Okay.
Yep.
So that is the, I will say to any entrepreneur, have that kind of insight, experience, live with that kind of thing, either by choice or compulsion, and then go get into that domain, right?
That's very interesting, Amit. No, I think this has been a very insightful conversation, and as you said, I would have spent probably an hour talking about DRDO as a child, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm so inquisitive about it, and I'm sure people would want to know more about your Agni missile experience
Yeah.
and the tanks, the Arjun tanks, and the Tejas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
and from there to doing this personalized education, it's a
Uh,
contrast, and
Contrast, yes.
it's a very unique perspectives which you have. And I do see that on LinkedIn and other platforms. You do share that openly, and I would request you to continue to do that because a lot of people are learning from that experience. So keep at it.
Thank you so much.
But thank you. I think we've had an amazing 1 hour on this entire topic, and it's been fun having a conversation with you.
Thank you so
So
much.
thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule.
And I want to thank you for inviting me. It has been like talking to you is just like a friend. We are talking, and I was like very involved. And if you want, we can talk about the audio anytime, and even for the power grid also. So we can keep going
Sure.
on a lot of instances which I have not shared and very interesting. So we can talk
You should
some.
write a book on that. You should write a book on that, on how to get into civil services or how to crack the RDO or a power grid exam. I'm sure people would love to have that.
I would hope I get some time. I will do that. I'm doing something in my student space right now. Let me complete that, and then I will do something else also.
Sure. No, Amit, thank you for taking time out. This was
Thank
really great.
thank you so much.
Thank you for listening in. And we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.